Grand Rising, and welcome to another segment of CLG View Point. And I'm so honored you're here today with me. I am Cindy Lorraine Grais, and today is Friday, March the 14th, 2025. Today's segment, we will start with the Chinese school principal teaches students shuffle dance during break time. And on the international news, ex-Philippines president extradited to The Hague over war on drugs. U.S. bus driver among two arrested for human smuggling into Canada. And into the local news, BC to improve clarity, not law, on involuntary care for drug addictions. Ladysmith Sr. scares off thieves who broke into the Nanaimo area home. How one Mississauga woman fought back against overages on her gas bill. And Nanaimo seniors have heat restored after months, yes, months, in the cold. Well, each segment I start with a sage clearing. For some of you who haven't heard of a sage clearing, it's a process. I clear out all those negative energies and leave each segment with a positive energy, only divine love and divine light. It's allowed here. To all low energy entities, you are healed, forgiven, enlightened, and sent back to your perfect place. Taken back by my spiritual guides, and so it is. Divine love and divine light. Thank you. Now here for our first video, a school principal teaching the children how to shuffle dance. This is fun.
其实说到初中吧，有两点。第一点呢，就是希望孩子们能够远离手机、远离电脑，能够增加户外的有氧运动，让孩子们真正动起来。那么这一点呢，是从我自己孩子身上看到的，所以就想到学校的这些孩子。第二个初衷呢，就想让我们学校呢有一个真正的属于全校师生的一个特色。就和跳广播体操一样，那动作就那么几个动作，已经跳得非常熟了，那么他就失去兴趣。所以当他的兴趣落到最低点的时候呢，我编一个第三套，把一些新的动作再进行一糅合，哎，他马上觉得这又是一个新的舞种。那么我们就要从教师身上去找事儿，怎么样去引导学生爱学习？通过什么样的办法来引导他？这就是我们在本部上面实施的一个做法，这是一个做法。总之吧，就是要调动任何所有的一种因素，通过活动，通过其他的一些东西啊，你给孩子提供一个展示的平台啊，等等这些方式来调动他的。
They're sure amazing, those children. And what an awesome principal. And now on to Philippines president extradited to The Hague over war on drugs. Lawyers for Rodrigo Duterte have filed a petition accusing the government of kidnapping. RT News, March 13, 2025. Former Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte has been flown to The Hague and placed in the custody of the International Criminal Court, ICC. He faces charges of crimes against humanity linked to the war on drugs during his presidency. The plane carrying Duterte landed in the Netherlands on Wednesday, a day after his arrest at Manila's International Airport, the day before on ICC orders. Now on to the video.
Rodrigo Duterte has been arrested upon his arrival at Manila's International Airport from Hong Kong. Authorities say the arrest was made in compliance with an ICC warrant, where it took aim on the Philippines' war on drugs carried out by Duterte until his term ended in 2022. He advocated a full-scale fight against drug addiction as well as against drug dealers. This comes as the ICC investigates allegations over 6,000 people were killed during the years-long operation. Duterte denied any wrongdoing, noting he faced off with cartels that were heavily armed and he couldn't have succeeded without the bloodshed. A recent video uploaded by his daughter, Veronica Duterte, shows the former president questioning the legality of his arrest. Duterte claims he was not taken voluntarily and has demanded an explanation for the charges against him.
I heard that supposedly there's a warrant for me from the ICC or something. They've been after me for a long time. What is my sin? I did everything in my time so that Filipinos can have a little peace and tranquility. Assuming the accusations against me are true, then why did I do it? For me? For my family? I did it for you and your children and our country.
The Philippines had until last year refused to cooperate with an investigation by the ICC, which says it has jurisdiction to probe incidents while a country is a member. The Philippine authorities said they would conduct their own investigation. And in November last year, the government agreed not to prevent Duterte's arrest. Duterte's ally and former legal counsel, Salvador Panelo, said the arrest was unlawful and police had denied the former president legal representation. Under current President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who succeeded Duterte in 2022 and became in a bitter political dispute with the former president and his daughter, Sara Duterte, the government has said it would cooperate if the ICC asked international police to take Duterte into custody through a so-called red notice. This arrest comes as Duterte has been long criticizing the US and the Western hypocrisy, saying Washington simply doesn't respect the sovereignty of the Philippines. Back in 2020, he detailed the Americans trying to meddle in his nation's affairs in an exclusive interview with RT.
America continues to look as a vassal state because when we were under the Americans for 50 years and they lived off the fat of the land before we got our independence. We went to war against them. I mean, America is not the Philippines and the Philippines is not America. It ain't that way anymore. And I refuse to dovetail under American foreign policy.
Duterte has openly criticized Western powers, accusing them of history of colonization, instigating wars, and what he described as stealing oil from the Middle East. In variety of statements and occasions, Duterte condemned Western nations for their role in global conflicts. All their interventions have de-established regions with exploiting natural resources for their own gain.
My personal thoughts. You think that ex-Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte should be arrested for cleaning up the criminality in his country? And another thought, are there criminals who have been charged with crimes against humanity by the ICC and have not been taken into custody. Something to think about. U.S. bus driver among two arrested for human smuggling into Canada. Global News, written by Aaron DeAndrea, posted March the 12th. Two U.S. men, including one who worked as a bus driver, have been charged by Canadian police in connection to a human smuggling operation. The RCMP said in a news release Wednesday the men, a 36-year-old New York State resident and a 35-year-old New Jersey man, allegedly organized the entry of more than 50 migrants into Canada by bus over a period of around 3 months. One of the men was employed as a bus driver for the company Used the Force said. The men were arrested in September 2023 at the Saint Bernard de la Côte border across in Quebec. They have been charged with organizing entry into Canada, contrary to Section 117 of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. Conspiracy to organize entry into Canada, and conspiracy to bribe an officer, in this case, an employee of the Canada Border Services Agency. A request for extradition to Canada is being considered. The investigation is ongoing. And to the video.
Where the St. Lawrence River flows from Ontario into Quebec, human smugglers are plying their trade.
You're organizing them to be safely brought somewhere.
We're protecting this young mother's identity. She was recently convicted of smuggling migrants across the Canada-US border.
And these people are more than willing. And they beg, please help me.
She's from Akwesasne Mohawk Nation and now lives in neighboring Cornwall. The small city is wedged between Ontario, Quebec, Mohawk Territory, and New York State. The cluster of border crossings, islands, and jurisdictions make it an ideal target for smugglers. In our vehicle, away from prying eyes, she outlines how the industry operates.
There's people in Montreal, right? And that would be an agency.
She says these agencies in Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto are typically paid around $20,000 per person to arrange passage across the border.
You have these big agencies, and then you're the little guy.
She would receive around $6,000 to hire a team with a boat and driver. She says most of the migrants in Canada were from Eastern Europe or Southeast Asia, desperate to connect with family or a job in the U.S. And she, too, was desperate.
We're not all bad people. You're trying to make a living. You need to do what you have to do. It's either you watch your kids starve and you lose them, or you figure out a way to help them.
She says the migrants' safety was her top priority, but the same can't be said for everyone.
This has fast become one of the most popular routes for migrants trying to cross the border illegally between Canada and the United States. It's only about a 15-minute boat ride to get across to the other side, but the waters of the St. Lawrence can at times be treacherous and even deadly.
In late March, 2 migrant families from India and Romania drowned after their boat capsized trying to cross into the U.S. The Roma family lived in Canada for 5 years, but were ordered deported. The youngest victims, just 1 and 2 years old. Police are now hunting for the boat's owner, a local suspected of smuggling.
Unfortunately, it gives a black eye to all Mohawk people of Akwesasne.
This Mohawk historian grew up on these waters. He says the boat capsized where 2 rivers, the St. Regis and St. Lawrence, converge.
And it's tricky out there. And if a wind comes about, then that could easily upset a small watercraft.
Despite the danger, the number of illegal crossings here has climbed significantly this year, possibly due in part to the recent closing of nearby Roxham Road.
But it's a jurisdictional nightmare.
This Akwesasne journalist's office straddles the border.
But that would be considered the U.S. You take a few steps and you're considered to be in Canada.
Noting just how difficult the crossing is to police.
Immigration is such a big problem everywhere, and we're such a small community trying to deal with it.
She and others here believe the Mohawk Nation should have greater resources and authority to patrol these waterways, to stem the tide of migrants making a dangerous trek. Jeff Semple, Global News, Agua.
Personal thoughts. Under natural law, all illegal immigrants are to be sent back to their home country. BC to improve clarity, not law, on involuntary care for drug addictions. Check News, written by Rob Shaw on March 12, 2025. Premier David Eby's top advisor on severe drug addiction has issued new guidance to provincial doctors as the province takes steps to move forward on the controversial issue of involuntary treatment. Eby promised action during the provincial election campaign to help address rising public concern about street disorder, people with severe addictions in distress, and violent drug-induced psychosis. He appointed Dr. Daniel Vigo as his top advisor on the issue, and Vigo on Wednesday concluded that the provincial government did not need new legislation on this issue, instead issuing an 11-page guidance document to all health authorities about how to apply the existing Mental Health Act. And on to the video.
Top advisor on severe drug addiction has issued new guidance to doctors as the province moves forward on the controversial issue of involuntary treatment. For more, let's check in with Rob Shaw at the BC Legislature. Rob, involuntary treatment has been a big issue the last couple of years, including during the election campaign. So what changed today?
Well, Stacey, it's a very contentious issue, holding people against their will for drug addiction treatment. The Premier had promised some action on that. His top advisor spent 10 months studying the issue. Today concluded BC doesn't need a new law to accomplish that. It just needs some clarity. Dr. Daniel Vigo issuing new guidelines to doctors today to clarify how to use the existing Mental Health Act. In the past, many doctors, he says, have mistakenly thought substance use disorder disqualified you from voluntary care, but new guidelines he issued say that forced care could apply if someone's drug use is caused or is linked to a severe mental impairment. He issued 11 pages to all health authorities today. Here he is.
The law didn't need to change. What needed to change is the confusion surrounding the interpretation of the law.
I just want to be really clear that this is not about making it easier to apprehend people or apprehending more people. This is about correctly identifying those people who will benefit from involuntary treatment in the manner that Dr. Vigo is explaining. And at the same time, it is so important that we continue to invest in and build out that continuous system of mental health and substance use supports that are voluntary.
The update comes on the same day Conservative MLA Eleanor Sturko reintroduced her private member's bill to alert families to when someone in a mental health or addictions crisis is taken to hospital. She said these new guidelines today are a disappointment to those who wanted action. Dr. Vigo saying there's more than 18,000 people a year receive involuntary care. A third of them come in and out of the system, and this may help address that. Stacey, these are very complex guidelines. It's going to take a while for doctors to digest them. The public push here on politicians was to try to address the phenomenon of someone passed out on the street in distress, someone acting violent in what looks to be a drug-fueled psychosis. It's not immediately clear if the guidelines today will address that visibly, Stacey, and if not, this will not be the last action we see from the Premier on the issue of involuntary care.
My personal thoughts. Do you think that this process in organizing protocols and procedures for involuntary treatment is taking way too long? In the meantime, many, yes, many are dying on the streets. Under natural law, this is part of the I Am Cured program. Action needs to be taken quick, fast, and in a hurry. Lanceville Sr. scares off thieves who broke into Nanaimo area home. Check News. Written by Adam Chan, March the 13th, 2025. Well, the Nanaimo RCMP says a man in his late 80s, yes, 80s, scared off 2 intruders who broke into his home over the weekend, and police are still seeking the suspects. The break-in occurred sometime between 5:30 a.m. and 6 a.m. on March 8th at a home in Lower Lanceville near the waterfront. The homeowner told police that he heard noise coming from inside his home, and when he went to check it out, he, quote, ran into an adult man and woman outside his bedroom, close quote. He immediately yelled at them, said the Reserve Constable Gary O'Brien of the Nanaimo RCMP. They immediately dropped what they were carrying, then turned and ran from the house, O'Brien said. Mounties say the senior went to call police, but when he tried to use his phone, he found that it had been tampered with. He then went to a neighbor's house and called police from there. Mounties say they searched the area but were unable to locate the suspects. While the homeowner did manage to scare off the thieves, they did get away with several items, including a black pellet gun, a portable Coleman brand camp stove, and 3 frozen pizzas. Police believe the pair entered the home by using a pry bar on the garage and then making their way into the house from there. Limited description of the suspects was provided other than the man was heavy set, said the Mounties. Now, anyone with information on the incident or the suspects is asked to call the Nanaimo RCMP non-emergency line. My personal thoughts. An amazing story that an 80-year-old man chased off the criminals that were robbing him while he was in his home. He sure is a man of courage and a hero. These criminals will be tried under natural law. CTV News, how one Mississauga woman fought back against overages on her gas bill. March 13, 2025. Enbridge initially told her she would only be refunded for 2 years out of the 7 she spent overpaying. Pat Form reports for Consumer Alert. And on to the video.
More than they have to for their utility bills, which is why you should study them closely to make sure they're accurate.
Back in September, CTV News brought you the story of a Mississauga woman who had been overcharged $4,500 on her natural gas bill. And tonight, we have an update. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Natalie and Nathan. The woman discovered she had been overcharged for 7 years on her gas bill. At the time, Enbridge said there was a mistake, but the most they had to refund her was for 2 years. But the woman complained to the Ontario Energy Board and just won her case.
That is totally not right and unfair.
We spoke with Portia Choi of Mississauga last September. She was concerned her Enbridge gas bill was too high and asked her neighbor if they could compare statements. That's when she discovered her customer charge was more than $77 a month, while her neighbor's was less than $21.
I was upset, and I can't understand how this mistake can be made.
We found out she was being charged as a business and not a homeowner. Enbridge charges businesses a commercial rate for natural gas and homeowners a residential rate. But on your Enbridge bill, it just says customer charged, so Choi had no idea she'd been overpaying for years. She'd been charged a commercial rate for 7 years, meaning she was overcharged $4,500.
I should be able to get back my overcharged money.
When Enbridge reviewed Choi's case, they agreed there was a mistake and refunded her $1,428, saying they were only responsible for 2 years of overpayments. Choi felt she should get back the entire amount, an additional $3,000. With CTV's help, she contacted the Ontario Energy Board and filed a complaint, and she just got good news.
Thank you very much, CTV.
In a statement, the board said the Ontario Energy Board is committed to protecting energy consumers' interests. We were pleased to learn Enbridge provided Ms. Choi a refund for the full period of overbilling. It took 6 months, but Enbridge just refunded Choi another $3,000, which for her was better late than never.
And you care so much for the little guy and take care of us, and you make my day and you make my life really happy again.
And if you have a complaint with your electricity or gas provider, you should try to settle it with them first. But if you can't, you can file a complaint with the Ontario Energy Board. They'll review your case to make sure the proper rules were followed. On your side, I'm Pat for it.
My personal thoughts. This was a wonderful outcome for a horrible act of mismanagement and unethical and unprofessional business practices from Enbridge Fuel Company. How many others have received this kind of errors on their gas bill? A full forensic audit should be done. What do you think? Well, Nanaimo seniors have heat restored after months in the cold. Check News, written by Sky Ryan, March the 12th, 2025. Deb Lauder enjoyed her Nanaimo apartment on Wednesday without needing the heavy blankets and space heaters that she had come to rely on for months. It's warm, it's really warm, Lauder told Check News Wednesday. The 73-year-old, who is still recovering from a stroke and regaining her ability to speak, shivered through the bitter February cold snap, using space heaters like many other seniors in her rental apartment building. Blue Stone Nanaimo, yes, Blue Stone Nanaimo on Lindley Valley Drive. All because their main heat source, their heat pumps, had been out of service for months. Yet not days, months. And sometimes I stay in my bedroom because of that. I'll make something to eat then quickly. Sometimes I turn the oven on, said 83-year-old Lois Thick when Check News first shared the senior story on February 15th. It shouldn't be that way. We pay good rent. We should get heat, said Cindy Gumson, Lauder's neighbor. Yet the seniors told Check News that months of pleading for help had got them nowhere. That would change within days. And on to the video.
From the moment we entered Deb Lauder's Nanaimo apartment Wednesday, the feeling is entirely different from when we first met weeks ago.
It's amazing what a difference.
It's warm. It's really warm.
Then the 73-year-old, who was still recovering from stroke and getting her words back, was also shivering in the bitter February cold snap, surrounded by space heaters, like many other seniors in her rental apartment building, Bluestone, Nanaimo, because their main source of heat, their heat pumps, had been out of service for months.
It's been cold, and I have this, and it put it over me.
And sometimes I stay in my bedroom because of that.
We pay good rent, and we should get heat.
Yet these seniors told Check News months of pleading for help had got them nowhere.
You were falling between the cracks.
Yeah.
That's why you reached out.
Yeah.
But that would change within days.
and we saw your news story land, and so we definitely looked it up, and we didn't have that in our system, so we went ahead and got on it. Yeah.
Richard Sparrow's company had just got the contract to maintain Bluestone the day before this report, and as soon as our story aired, rushed the senior's plight to the top of his list.
Bluestone has stepped up, and we've done multiple calls there, dozens and dozens of calls, so we're restoring heat every day, so it's, yeah.
In total, 25 heat pumps have been replaced here at Bluestone and Nanaimo since our story aired, all thanks to a stroke survivor who spoke out.
Whoa, good.
You spoke for many.
Yeah, good. And we did our best to take care of her, and I'm just really happy that it's all fixed now. Thank you.
No.
Especially since another week of single-digit temperatures are in the forecast. Warmth is now just a click away.
It blows really good.
Personal thoughts. This is such a great story of how people together supported each other, took action to get the story out to the public. And now the ladies will have heat to keep themselves comfortable. Electricity is an essential service. When you rent off of anyone, the owner is to supply everything that they agreed upon contractually. The owner broke his own contract, and he should be held accountable under natural law. I am Cindy Lorraine Grais of CLG View Point, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here today with you. If you feel compelled, please share with others. Now on to my closing. Dr. Virtual 7, Empower Dynamics. Here is a small clip from his website, and it's called Medical Health, Make a Full and Complete Recovery. Enjoy. Have a truly wonderful day and a wonderful weekend, and see you on Monday. Until we meet again. Thank you.
I connect with my inner self. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I make a full, complete recovery. Yes, I do. Absolute peace and perfect health. I make up my mind. I choose wellness. Perfect truth, joy, and happiness. My organs rejuvenate. I gain strength. In perfect cellular health and wellness. I get well. I am well. We are wellness. In every level of beingness, I feel better, and continue to get better, every day and night. I connect with the Most High Spirit. Healing team assistance. Heals me. Unconditional loving angels. Watches over me. Calmness. Wellness. In mind, body, and spirit.